Hey, I'm gonna keep this short, fam. Y'all know I can get long-winded, so you know I'm gonna keep it short. Just wanted to address Chris and Charles's video and audio, man. Y'all messages were spot on and inspiring, so that's actually why I'm deciding to do this, because I don't do the video stuff. So the only thing I can add to that is just make it known that, you know, what my position is on these things is perception. I think perception is the most important element to accomplish the things we need to accomplish. So, you know, with that being said, we have to recognize that even in hip-hop music, that white teenagers and white young adults are the biggest money pot for the music, not for the culture, but for the music. So if we rewind back to the 90s and even late 80s, when negative rap music was becoming popular, and I really cringe at saying negative rap music, because actually the rap music is a reflection of the way folks are living. But you know, the rap, it just doesn't speak for everyone. So with white teenagers and young adults being the biggest money pot, means that they sell a lot of records to white young folks. What that means is, fast forward to 2019, those 45, 46, 50-year-olds are actually running businesses now. And, you know, the management, hiring authority, blah, blah, blah. So the perception that of black people that they think they know based on rap music plays a part in how they look at you, how they look at us. And so that's why I think that making a way, and it's not going to happen now. It's not going to happen in the next 10 years. It'll take at least 30 years for us to change the perception of who we are as, you know, as thinkers and doers and innovators versus what they hear on records from, you know, Eazy-E and DMX and these guys. And don't get me wrong, I like DMX music, man. The dude is a genius, but you know, the perception of it is different. So with that said, we can't change the minds of folks until we change the perception that we give. We cannot allow people to be use counterintuitive language and rhetoric and expect exceptions when it comes to treatment of different people. In other words, you can't tell a police officer A, B, and C of how to treat people, but then you flip it and the same A, B, and C of how to treat people you do on the flip side based on color. When we preach something, we have to set the example. I don't know why that's a difficult thing to grasp. And this whole thing about black people can't be racist, we need to dump it. Not because it's not true. We need to dump it because the perception of it is that we can do what we want to do, but you can't. You're always going to be met with negative, you're always going to be met with a negative, reinforced prejudice from the people that are already biased in the first place. You know, that's the first thing. So it's a lot of things that we need to change. And I mean, I'm not saying that we need to change ourselves. I'm saying as a community we need to change things. And this 70s era, the 70s era's guideline as a way through for today's complex systematic racism. We have to build on it. it's become evident that we have to go forward from that. And it's no disrespect to Brother Malcolm, Brother Martin, but you know, they actually intended us to build on what they have, just like kneeling. Jay-Z is absolutely right. It's time up for us to build on what's already been accomplished. Kneeling another day is not going to help anything, because the element of surprise is gone. The element of putting it out there we already have, because if it's about bringing awareness, we're aware now. It's a national conversation. All right, and it's been a national conversation for the last 3 years. So bringing awareness is dead. We've accomplished that. The next checkpoint, please. Wokies, man, nothing more than what Charles said. Charles, spot on, man. I'm there with you, brother. The last thing, man, is voting, which all these things, you know, falls under perception. So it's kind of tough, because we've been ingrained and we've been taught, and it's been hammered into our minds that voting is irrelevant. Voting is not necessary. Voting is one of those things you do to be white. Well, you know, that was true in the 60s. We didn't have many black politicians, especially in the South. You know, New York is an outlier. No grooms, Corey. I know you hate to hear that, but you know, for the rest of America, there were white politicians. I mean, it just was. It just is, and it was. Is, as you know, referring to history. What we see now is a totally different change in landscape. And you know what Chris said earlier a couple of weeks ago is that we're never gonna be 100% together. You know, hoping for this togetherness, you know, for everybody to be on the same accord. It's a pipe dream. It's never gonna happen. No culture has ever done that, and it's overzealous to think that that's something that we can accomplish. It's, you know, we are different folks. Now, you know, with that said, the perception of people that turn out 80% of the time to vote means that you can be pandered to. Not necessarily that, hey, you know what? You know, people bring up all these presidents are cousins or they're chosen, and you know what? Yeah, that's above the head. You can talk about presidents, but locally, your district attorneys, your councilmen, your commissioners, even your mayors of your city. If there was an 80% turnout amongst black folks, people pander to you by coming to see what it is that you need. Point blank. I don't know how complex of a thing that is to grasp, but it's true. It's evident in other places. People look for you. People come looking for that black vote. If it's 80%, they come even harder looking for that black vote. To me, it's a pretty simple concept. So if you're in a community and your school is falling down, you know, take a look at your voter turnout. You know, if your voter turnout is 12% in that area, nobody needs you to win an election. They don't have to do anything in your area to win your vote over. You're 12%. You're not going to affect anything. Okay, and that's the God honest truth. All right, 80% in a community brings out people. What do you need? Well, you know what? I want more books. Each of my kids' classes have to share books. We want better playgrounds. We want more programs, and we want a trade in our school system. And if you can't give us all that, guess what? The next politician over here, he's looking for something. We can give him this 80%. You know, with that being said, it takes a strategic effort. You know, yeah, you know, if you don't go, you feeling sick, and you don't go to the poll individually, absolutely. You know what? You didn't make it because of XYZ. You're probably not going to turn the election over. Yeah, it's common sense. But as a community, as a big picture, you know, that's a small picture. As a big picture, as the community, things are a lot different. The goals are a lot different. So what can you do to align yourself with the big picture versus you thinking about yourself? That's where the issue comes from. So yeah, I mean, I think the, you know, the perception is huge. The perception is huge. You know, and that doesn't only affect hiring managers, these white hiring managers' psyche. You can also look at juries. If you're carrying a gun in New York, you just happen to cross, you know, over the line from Jersey into New York with a gun, you got an all-white jury. That jury is probably going to mandate that 3 years. Why? You're guilty because guess what? That's what you do. I heard it in the music. I heard you talk about it. That's what you do, and that's what you were doing when you crossed the line. It didn't have anything to do with your child support or coming to get your daughter. You're not human at that point. You're a part of that culture. And I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave it at that. The way that we treat other cultures is no different. If we meet a guy if we meet an Asian kid that listens to rap music and, you know, he knows about our culture, we see them as being different. But what we first see them is with, you know, with the hooded eyes and the haircut, as being Asian. So we automatically assume that you're one of those people that charge 5 cents for mint at the at the Chinese restaurant because, you know, you're frugal, or the people that just don't speak English very good because, you know, you don't even try, or the ones that go right back to your habitat and, you know, and eat noodles sitting down with your legs crossed every day. Yeah, I mean, we assume all that because we know that that's culture. So other folks knowing that hip hop is our culture, why would they think any different from the perception that we give them that we embrace hip hop as a culture? Hip hop is not my culture. Hip hop is a subset of what the black culture is. And it just bugs me to death to hear people say that hip hop is our culture. Hip hop is not our culture.